Embassy Direct is also about success stories. The National Basket Association gladly has in South Africa its main representative in the continent, its vice president and managing director, directly from Senegal, Mr. Amadou Gallo Fall. How are you, Amadou?
I'm good, thank you, Ambassador.
It's definitely a pleasure to have you here. And as I said in the introduction about success stories, your story itself is a very interesting one, coming from your country and having the opportunity through a sport, through your something that you love, basketball, and you make it all the way to the United States. Please relate that story to our readers and viewers.
I think it all started with opportunity, as you alluded to. I always like to go back to stories I read many years ago. It was an interview from Ayrton Senna, a great Brazilian Formula One driver, when he was asked the secret to his success. And the answer was very simple. It was just the opportunity to race, because if you don't have a chance to line up at the starting lineup, you have no chance to win a race. So that's where it all started. I think I was fortunate to have that opportunity to be exposed to the game of basketball and subsequently move on to the US on a scholarship, play basketball, get my degree, build relationship, build a network. And it all starts with people and having an opportunity and making the most out of it. And that's really, as simple as that. So obviously, the saying also goes that sometimes some of the things you do in your everyday life, maybe contribute to whether that opportunity comes or doesn't come. In some instances, what it means is you can create your own luck, but opportunity, when it meets preparation, so to speak, I think that's really how things happen in everything in life. And that's the exciting part about, why I decided to move back to the continent after 21 years in the US. It's just for the opportunity to give back, and recreate that opportunity or that process that I went through for other young people across the continent, and now, most importantly, to do it at a bigger scale right here in Africa.
Correct, and probably, Amadou, that is the greatness in you. You had the opportunity, now you have a second opportunity to share that with others. Africa, unfortunately, hasn't been a continent that has been blessed with opportunities for many reasons. And if its own people use their opportunities and later share them, I think that is very rewarding. Please elaborate a bit in what exactly you do with the youth in your country, in South Africa, and the rest of the continent.
Yeah. I think the opportunity has always been here. This is why maybe hundreds of thousands of years other people came from all corners of the world, to really, make use of that opportunity for their own, self-interest, whether you talk about colonization and all the other things that happened throughout the course of the continent. But, the riches have always been here, the people have always been here, the creativity and all the beauty has always been here. But now, to your point, I always felt that if things were ever going to change, if we are going to achieve this socioeconomic development level and status that we should all aspire to, it's going to take, Africans to take the matters in their own hands. I stumbled into basketball, and the sport has taken me to unbelievable, heights have allowed me to achieve. I'm sitting here today talking to you about what I do. Probably growing up in Senegal, I could never, pinpoint this will happen, But at the same time, I've always had the self-confidence and inherent belief that, we can all achieve great things. And I think all of the greatest achievements in human history have always been led by just ordinary people, whether it's Mother Teresa or all these great leaders that we talked about throughout history. They all grew up, in different types of environments. Some, better equipped, than others. Some came out of slums and, unbelievably poor situation. But I think what's most important is to make sure that with young people we create this enabling environment to make sure that regardless of gender or race or religious belief, they have a goal to achieve, for themselves first, but also for the greater good of a community. That's how you build. That's how institutions have been built, for people to have an interest beyond just their own individual self-interest. So I think that's where it all starts. For me, as I said, stumbling into basketball and seeing all the doors it has opened, the network it had created, and the type of success I've seen it create at individual level, my goal has always been, how do we bring it all together, for the greater good? And focusing on young people, for me in Africa, was the number one driver, because that's our biggest asset, our human capital. You get all the metrics and all the statistics in terms of the percentage of the young population across the continent. So for us, making sure that this youth is equipped with the right tools, they are educated, they have a sense of self-belief, and develop early work ethic, learning how to work together as a team, and all these attributes, sports, bring the best of that in human being. That was my experience, and this is why we started SEED back in 1998, Sports for Education and Economic Development. It was just a way to leverage the opportunity I had and what the sport has done for me, to see how we can share it with other young people and how we can bring it back to create something that the community at large could use. So that's led to a school in Senegal that's been there since 2002. And to a large extent also that has formed our strategy with NBA Africa, our approach and our objectives to grow the sport, to grow the NBA brand across the continent. We felt that we had a huge opportunity to impact young people through basketball, to get them to, not achieve only on the basketball court, but also off of it. And the examples are numerous of very bright young people who are successful in our league, who are coming back every summer to give back to their communities, to reach back and inspire the next generations.
Once someone told me, I think my physical education teacher told me that basketball was not in the height. It doesn't apply to you, but it's in your heart.
Exactly.
So people of any height can actually play the sport, regardless of even handicapped people. I remember having one of our classmates had lost half of his arm, and he was the best basketball player. So sometimes adversity makes you the best of you.
Absolutely, and that's really the name of the game in sports. You got to, you fall, you get up, you lose, you move on to the next chance to redeem yourself. And this is why I think sports has to be an integral part of curriculums in school and government policy agendas, because it's the best way to really occupy the youth, not only, get them off the streets, but also get them healthy, to be active in sport. Obviously, basketball is what I promote, but at the end of the day, we promote all sports. So we just promote young people getting involved in sport and getting involved in sport at a very early age. So, yes, height is not a hindrance. I mean, some of the greatest players in our league have been, smaller people. Maxi Boggs, who was here 2 years ago at our Africa game, as a legend now, we stand around the world to, inspire, young people, whether it's in Asia, Europe, Africa, Latin America. Spud Webb won the NBA Slam Dunk contest, and this guy is probably 1.70 m. Right now, one of the most popular players in our league is Stephen Curry. He's also, a guard, point guard, not of remarkable size. So, some of the legends, Isaiah Thomas, you've heard of these guys. These were, little people, but with unbelievably huge heart and skill. So, at the end of the day, it's about skills, really. Height matters and helps, but it's not the end-all, be-all.
I remember the Harlem Globetrotters, one of their players, or two other players, were very short, but very fast and very skillful.
Yeah, I think what you don't have with the size, you could compensate with skill, speed, and quickness.
A good arm.
Exactly.
True. Highlights in your career as vice president of NBA in Africa, and you mentioned it just now about 2 years ago, this great event that you managed to assemble here, where you brought African stars with the world basketball stars. We understand that a similar event is coming this year. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yes, we're extremely excited to be bringing our NBA Africa game back to Johannesburg. It's going to be on August 5th. As you noted, this is Team Africa versus Team World, but these are all NBA players, so just to give you an example, the last edition we had Luol Deng, for example, and Bismack Biyombo on one side, Gorgui Dieng, and then on the other side, Chris Paul was the captain, with the likes of the Gasol brothers who are from Spain, Pau and Mark. So we are right now, we made the announcement for this second edition. It's going to be a huge event for the continent. It's going to be held here in Johannesburg, but it's a game for the continent in the sense that we are going to drive basketball fans from many, many corners of Africa. In our recent trips, we are launching our junior NBA leagues. We were in Brazzaville and Abidjan and Nairobi most recently, but this is, people are already start talking about it, making plans to come here for the game. We are busy building our rosters. We'll bring some of the greatest names in our league. There will be a huge contingent from the NBA family, starting with the commissioner, Adam Silver, who all will be here in Johannesburg. For the game will be the culmination of a week long of activities. We are going to still hold our Basketball Without Borders camp from August 1st to the 4th. We plan to do a junior NBA festival. We're looking to also, through some partnerships, host a business forum, which we know that many countries are going to be interested in. Heads of enterprises from around the world will converge here. Just come watch the game, but in the process, continue to engage, with Africa at multiple level, with the public and private sector getting together in the name of really using sport as a conduit. That game will be the main reason why people will converge here, and in the same time, we can see the impact it's going to have, in terms of cross-cultural linkages. People from all over Africa coming right here in Johannesburg, business leaders from all over the world. The game would be broadcast. The last edition was broadcast in 215 countries and 27 languages. We have a new broadcast partner in Kwese, that has a presence all over sub-Saharan Africa, 900 million people. This game is going to be, really the biggest, event we've had in our 7 years. And it's also just throughout the long history the NBA has had with the African continent.
As an African expatriate in South Africa, share with us your likes and dislikes of your stay here, and what are your recommendations for improvement?
Well, look, obviously, growing up in Senegal, through the whole apartheid areas, everybody, as African, we were all, interested and very much aware of what was happening. And I think what was happening was an assault to human dignity, and not just to Africans or people of color. I think anybody in their right mind and disposition was appalled. So I think when in 1990, the situation reversed, it was born of a new day. And I'm very proud to say that our then Commissioner, David Stern, was actually here in 1994 at the inauguration of President Mandela. Later on, 2003, when we started our Basketball Without Borders here in South Africa again, we had the opportunity to do it in multiple other countries. When we chose, this country, again, we had on numerous occasions the privilege to be received by then President Mandela, who's obviously retired. So there was really always, for us African coming back here, inviting our friends from around the world, part of the NBA family. It was always a great feeling, to be here. I think, the rich history, the tradition, the culture, this is real melting pot. We see the potential, the US, what makes it what it is, so it's just because there were people from everywhere that came there, and brought what they brought in terms of their cultures and their contributions. I think some of the, greatest mind there were, they came from somewhere else. They were all immigrants, starting with whether it's Einstein or, the same opportunity you see here, but obviously, when you hear about some of the, tensions and the xenophobic tendencies, it makes everybody, feel sick, right? But at the same time, you think that it's a young country, in terms of its history and how it's trying to, put itself together. So I'm willing to be patient and try to figure out how we can contribute to make sure that we understand that at the end of the day, we have to have a positive, forward-looking, in terms of the great things that can continue to be built here, because the resources are here. From a, sporting league standpoint, when I look at what happened during the FIFA World Cup, against all prediction, this country has stepped up and, brilliantly hosted a global event, the biggest event, I think, in the world. Those are the positive things that I tend to look at, not to forget or dismiss, some of the issues that, take place and wherever they are rooted, some of those things, there's no excuse for it. And I think I have confidence that at the end of the day, the human spirit will prevail, and good things are going to continue to happen for the country.
Amadou, thank you so much for sharing those inspiring stories in your life, what brought you here, talking about opportunities. I'm so sure that the readers and viewers of Embassy Direct are going to appreciate and be delighted with it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.